Somewhere in West London, May 1991. The studio is silent except for the hum of amplifiers, not the comfortable silence of a band between takes, the heavy silence of people who know they're running out of time. Freddie Mercury sits at the piano, his hands resting on the keys but not playing. He's lost so much weight that his rings slide loose on his fingers. His cheekbones are sharp enough to cut glass. His eyes, those impossible brown eyes that once commanded stadiums, are sunken but still bright with something that looks like defiance, or maybe desperation, or maybe both. Brian May stands across the room pretending to tune a guitar that's already perfectly tuned. His hands are shaking. Roger Taylor sits behind his drums, staring at nothing. John Deacon leans against the wall, his bass hanging from his shoulder like dead weight. Nobody wants to say it. They've been avoiding saying it for weeks. But they all know this is the last time, the last rehearsal, the last time all four of them will make music together. Freddie knows it too. That's why he called this session, not to record, just to play. One more time, before it becomes impossible. Shall we begin? Freddie's voice is thin, fragile, nothing like the 4-octave instrument that defined a generation, but it's still unmistakably him. We haven't got all day, darlings. Some of us have schedules. It's a joke, a terrible joke, because the only schedule Freddie has anymore is dying. Everyone in the room knows it, but they laugh anyway, because that's what you do. You laugh, you pretend, you play. What do you want to run through? Brian asks. His voice is careful, too careful. Freddie doesn't answer immediately. His fingers find a chord on the piano. D minor, the saddest of all keys. The new one, the one we were working on last month. Roger's face goes pale. Freddie, that song is... I know what it is. Freddie cuts him off, not angry, just firm. That's why we're playing it, one more time, properly. The song is The Show Must Go On. They recorded the backing track weeks ago, but Freddie's vocal, they haven't finished it, can't finish it, because every time Freddie tries to sing it, something breaks in his voice, in his body, in the room. Brian looks at Roger. Roger looks at John. John looks at the floor. Nobody wants to be the one to say it, to say what they're all thinking, that Freddie can't sing this song, not anymore, that his body won't let him, that asking him to try is cruel. But Freddie sees the look, knows what they're thinking, and something flashes across his face. Not anger, not hurt, something harder, something that looks like the Freddie Mercury from 1985, from Live Aid, from the moment he owned the world. Play the fucking track, he says quietly. Brian presses play. The backing track fills the studio. Roger's drums, that iconic snare pattern. John's bass, steady, driving. Brian's guitar, layers of harmonics building and building. And then the space where Freddie's voice should be. The emptiness waiting to be filled. Freddie closes his eyes. His hands grip the piano. And he begins to sing. Empty spaces. What are we living for? His voice cracks on the second word. It's not the voice from the recording. It's not the voice that sang Bohemian Rhapsody or We Are the Champions or any of the songs that made Queen legendary. It's the voice of a dying man trying to sing, trying to prove he still can. Abandoned places? I guess we know the score. Roger's eyes fill with tears. He keeps playing, but he's crying. Actually crying. His sticks hit the drums by muscle memory because he can't see anymore. Can't watch Freddie struggle like this. On and on. Does anybody know what we are looking for? Brian's hands falter, just for a second. A missed note. The first missed note in 20 years of playing together. Because watching Freddie, watching his best friend pour everything he has left into a song about refusing to quit even when everything is falling apart, It's too much. It's unbearable. Freddie stops. The track keeps playing, but Freddie stops singing. He's breathing hard, too hard, like he just ran a marathon. His hands are shaking on the piano keys. "Freddie!" Brian starts. "Don't!" Freddie's voice is sharp. "Don't you dare stop! Keep playing! You need to rest! I need to sing!" Freddie's voice breaks, not from weakness, from fury. "This is what I do. This is all I've ever done, and I'm not stopping until I finish this song. Do you understand me?" Brian nods, helpless. "From the top?" "From the top." They start again. This time Freddie stands. It takes effort, visible effort. He grips the piano to steady himself, but he stands. Because if he's going to sing, he's going to sing standing up, the way he always has, the way Freddie Mercury sings. Empty spaces, what are we living for? Better this time, stronger. He's finding it, finding that place inside himself where the music lives, where Freddie Mercury exists, separate from the dying body, separate from the disease, just the voice, just the art. Abandoned places, I guess we know the score. Roger is still crying, but he's playing harder now, faster, giving Freddie everything he's got, pushing him, supporting him, the way they've done for 20 years. On and on, does anybody know what we are looking for? And then the bridge, the impossible bridge, the part where Freddie's voice is supposed to soar, to climb octaves, to become superhuman, the part they all knew he couldn't do anymore, the part that's impossible. Another hero, another mindless crime. Freddie's voice cracks, breaks. He gasps. His hand goes to his throat. His knees buckle. Brian drops his guitar. "Stop the track." But Freddie shakes his head. "No, keep going, keep playing. Freddie, you can't." "Keep playing." They keep playing. Because when Freddie Mercury tells you to keep playing, you keep playing. Even when it's killing him. Even when you're watching your best friend destroy himself trying to finish a song. Freddie grips the piano with both hands. His knuckles are white. Blood is dripping from his nose. He can feel it, but he doesn't wipe it away. He just breathes. One breath, two, finding something deeper than his lungs, deeper than his body. The place where the music has always lived. And he sings. Behind the curtain, in the pantomime. His voice doesn't soar, it doesn't climb octaves, it doesn't become superhuman, but it's there, present, real. The voice of a man who refuses to stop, who refuses to give up, who will sing until his body won't let him anymore. And maybe even after that. Hold the line. Does anybody want to take it anymore? The chorus hits, that massive, defiant chorus. The part where Freddie Mercury tells the world that the show must go on, that empty spaces can be filled, that even when you're dying, even when everything is falling apart, you keep going. You keep performing. You keep being who you are. The show must go on. The show must go on. Freddie is singing through tears now, through blood, through pain that would drop most people to their knees. But he's standing. He's singing. He's Freddie fucking Mercury, and he's not done yet. Inside my heart is breaking. My makeup may be flaking. Brian is playing with his eyes closed. Can't watch. Can't look at Freddie's face. Can't see what this is costing him. But my smile still stays on. The final chorus. Freddie throws everything into it. Everything he has left. His voice cracks and breaks and reforms. It's not perfect. It's not the voice from 1985 or 1975 or any of the golden years. But it's real. It's honest. It's the sound of a man fighting for his life one note at a time. The show must go on. The show must go on. The show must go on. On, on, on. The track ends. The silence that follows is enormous, crushing. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Freddie stands at the piano swaying slightly, blood on his upper lip, tears on his face, his hands shaking, but standing, still standing. Then his knees give out. Brian catches him before he hits the floor. "I've got you! I've got you!" Roger is there in seconds. Then John, all three of them holding Freddie up, literally holding him together. "Did I finish it?" Freddie's voice is barely a whisper. "You finished it," Brian says. He's crying openly now. "You finished it, Freddie. It was perfect." "Liar!" Freddie's laugh is weak, but it's still a laugh. "It was terrible. My voice is gone. I can't hit the notes anymore." It wasn't about the notes. This is John, quiet John, who never says much, who's been silent for most of the session. It's never been about the notes, it's about what you do with them, and you just did something none of us will ever forget. They help Freddie to a chair. Someone brings water, someone else brings towels. They clean the blood off his face. They let him rest. They don't talk about what just happened, what they just witnessed. Because there aren't words for it. There's no way to describe watching someone sing their way through death. After 10 minutes, Freddie's breathing has steadied. His color has returned, as much color as he has anymore, which isn't much. He looks up at the three of them, his band, his brothers, his family. "One more time," he says. "Freddie, no." Brian starts. "One more time, from the top. We're going to record it properly." "You can't. You just collapsed. You need to rest. I need to finish this song." Freddie's voice is steel, quiet steel, but steel. "Because in 6 months or a year, when you're finishing the album without me, you're going to need this vocal. And I'm going to give it to you now, while I still can, while I still have something left to give." Roger shakes his head. "We can wait. We can record when you're stronger." "I'm not going to get stronger." Freddie says it simply, flatly. The truth with no decoration. "This is as strong as I'm going to be. Maybe weaker tomorrow, maybe much weaker next week. So we record it now, today, right now." They look at each other. Brian, Roger, John, the three of them having an entire conversation in silence. The kind of conversation that only happens when you've known each other for 20 years, when you've shared hotel rooms and stages and bus rides and every possible moment of a life lived together. "All right," Brian says finally, "we record it. But we do it my way. You sit. You rest between takes. You stop if it gets too much. Deal?" Freddie smiles. That smile, the one that made him famous. "Now, help me to the microphone, darling. We have work to do." They record for 3 hours. Freddie sings the song 12 times. Some takes are better than others. Some are worse. On the 7th take, he has to stop because he's coughing up blood. On the 10th take, he makes it all the way through without stopping, and they think that's the one. But Freddie insists on 2 more. "I can do it better," he keeps saying. "One more time. I can give you one more." On the 12th take, something happens, something impossible. Freddie's voice, weak, broken, dying, finds power. Not the power of 1985, not the 4-octave range that made him a legend, but something else, something deeper. The power of a man who has nothing left to lose, who is singing not because he wants to, but because he has to, because it's the only thing he knows how to do. The show must go on. When it's over, when the final note fades, nobody moves, nobody speaks. They just sit in the silence of what they've witnessed. The final recording, the last great Freddie Mercury vocal, the sound of a man singing his own epitaph. Freddie takes off the headphones, sets them down carefully, looks at the three of them through the control room glass. "Thank you," he says quietly. "Thank you for my life, boys." And that's when they break, all three of them, Brian sobbing into his hands, Roger with his head on the console, John standing with tears streaming down his face, not even trying to hide them. Because they understand. They all understand. That wasn't just a recording session. That was a goodbye. Freddie's way of saying goodbye without saying the words. Freddie's way of leaving them something to finish after he's gone. Something to remember him by. Not Freddie Mercury the legend. Not the showman. Not the performer. Just Freddie. Their friend. Their brother. Singing his heart out one last time. Jim Hutton picks Freddie up from the studio. He takes one look at Freddie's face. Pale, exhausted, but somehow peaceful, and knows. "You finished it?" "I finished it." Freddie leans his head against the car window. "It's done. The album can be finished now. They can finish it without me." "Don't talk like that." "Why not? It's true. I'll be dead in 6 months, maybe less. We both know it. But at least now they'll have something. At least the album will be complete." Jim drives in silence. There's nothing to say. Nothing that will help. So he just drives. Takes Freddie home to Garden Lodge. Helps him inside. Helps him to bed. "Jim?" Freddie's voice is small. Young, the voice of someone scared. "Yeah? Do you think it was good? The vocal? Do you think it was worth it?" Jim sits on the edge of the bed, takes Freddie's hand. "I think it was the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do." "That's not what I asked." "I know, but it's the truth." Freddie closes his eyes. "Good. That's good enough." 6 months later, Freddie Mercury dies. On November 24th, 1991, at home, surrounded by people who love him. His last words are to Jim, "I'm so tired. I'm so very tired." 3 weeks after the funeral, Brian May returns to the studio. He has to finish the album. Innuendo. The last Queen album with Freddie. The album that will serve as his epitaph. He plays back the vocal for "The Show Must Go On." The 12th take. The one from that May afternoon. The one they all knew was final. And he hears it. Really hears it for the first time without Freddie in the room. Without watching him struggle. Without the context of dying. Just the vocal. Just the performance. It's devastating. It's powerful. It's the sound of a man refusing to quit. Of someone staring death in the face and singing anyway. Of Freddie Mercury doing what Freddie Mercury always did, making something beautiful out of pain. Brian sits in the empty studio and cries. Not gentle tears. Not quiet grief. He sobs. Actually sobs. Because the vocal is perfect. Because Freddie was right. Because they needed this, and Freddie gave it to them at a cost that's unbearable to think about. Roger comes in, finds Brian crying, sits beside him. "That's the one?" "That's the one." He knew that day. He knew it was the last time. That's why he pushed so hard, why he wouldn't stop. "I know. And we let him. We let him sing until he collapsed, because he asked us to, because he needed it. What else could we do?" Brian's voice is raw. He was dying, and all he wanted was to sing. How do you say no to that? How do you tell Freddie Mercury he can't sing one more time? They sit in silence. Two men who lost their best friend, their brother, their bandmate of 20 years, sitting in a studio full of ghosts and memories and recordings that will outlive them all. "We finished the album," Roger says finally. "We finish it the way he wanted. We put this vocal on the track. We mix it. We release it. And we let the world hear what he did, what it cost him, what he was willing to give. He didn't want people to know how sick he was. Then we don't tell them. We just release the song. Let them hear it. Let them figure it out." The album is released in February 1991. "The Show Must Go On" becomes a single. The music video uses old footage of Freddie, healthy Freddie, powerful Freddie, the Freddie who could command stadiums with a gesture, because that's how he wanted to be remembered, not as the dying man, but as the performer, the showman, the legend. But everyone who hears the song knows, somehow they know, that this is different, that this vocal is special, that something profound and terrible and beautiful happened when this was recorded. They can hear it in Freddie's voice, the cracks, the breaks, the moments where he's clearly struggling, but also the power, the defiance, the refusal to stop. The song becomes an anthem, not just for Queen fans, for anyone who's ever had to keep going when everything said stop, for anyone who's ever faced the impossible and decided to try anyway, for anyone who understands what it means to put on a show even when your world is falling apart. Because that's what Freddie Mercury did. On that May afternoon in 1991, in a West London studio with his three best friends, he put on a show, the last show, the most important show, the show that would outlive him, the show that would prove that even death can't stop someone from being who they are. The show must go on. Freddie made sure of it. Years later, Brian May gives an interview. The journalist asks about that recording session, about the last time Queen played together, about what it was like watching Freddie record his final vocals. Brian is quiet for a long time. When he finally speaks, his voice is thick with emotion. Freddie collapsed. Did you know that? Collapsed right there in the studio. We had to catch him, had to hold him up, and the first thing he said when he could breathe again was, "Did I finish it?" That's what mattered to him. Not his health, not his pain, just the music, just finishing what he started. That must have been difficult to watch. Difficult doesn't begin to cover it. We were watching our friend die, literally watching him sing himself to death, and we helped him do it because he asked, because he needed it, because denying Freddie Mercury the chance to sing, that would have been worse than anything the disease could do to him. Do you regret it? Letting him push that hard? Brian considers this. No, because at the end he said, "Thank you. Thank you for my life." Those were his last words to us as a band, and I understood. He wasn't thanking us for the session. He was thanking us for 20 years of letting him be exactly who he was, for never asking him to be less, for never telling him to stop, for helping him be Freddie Mercury right up until the last possible second. The journalist is quiet, then, "The vocal on 'The Show Must Go On' is extraordinary. Knowing what you know now about when it was recorded and what it cost, how do you listen to it?" "I don't," Brian says simply. "I can't. Every time I hear it, I'm back in that studio, watching Freddie bleed, watching him collapse, watching him refuse to quit. It's too much. Even now, even 30 years later, it's too much. But you released it. You put it out into the world. Because Freddie wanted it. Because he sang it for that reason. So people would hear it. So the album would be complete. So we could finish what we started. How do you honor that sacrifice except by sharing what he created? And the message? What do you think Freddie was trying to say with that song?" Brian's smile is sad. I think he was telling all of us, the band, the fans, the world, that the show must go on. That even when everything falls apart, even when you're dying, even when you have nothing left to give, you keep going. You keep performing. You keep being who you are. Because that's what matters. Not how long you live, but who you are while you're here. And who was Freddie Mercury? He was the man who collapsed recording a song and then got up and recorded it again. He was the man who sang himself to death because the music mattered more than dying. He was the show that never stopped. Not even at the end. Especially not at the end. The interview ends, the journalist leaves. Brian sits alone with his memories and his grief and his guitar. And somewhere in the world, someone is listening to "The Show Must Go On" for the first time, hearing Freddie Mercury's voice crack and break and soar, hearing the sound of a man refusing to quit, hearing the show that must go on. And they don't know the story. Don't know about the collapsed lungs or the blood or the 12 takes or the final words. They just hear the song, the defiance, the power, the humanity. And that's exactly what Freddie wanted. Not pity, not sorrow, Just the music, just the performance, just the show. Always the show. Until the very end. Even after the end. The show that must go on. The show that never stops. The show that is Freddie Mercury. Forever.